And I'm just like, I hope this type of love never finds me. Hey y'all, what's poppin'? It's your girl Robin, and we're back at it again with another video. So y'all was blowing up my comments on my Tell Me Lies video that I did a while ago, and y'all know I love mess and I love drama, as long as it's not in my life. So y'all know I had to come at y'all with a season 2 series, and I think I'm gonna do the whole season, because this season and just this show in general is freaking insane. So we are going to get right into episode 1, season 2 of Tell Me Lies. So if you guys remember, at the end of season 1, we are dropped into the wedding where Steven walks in with Lucy's best friend from back home. So already that's a jaw drop. So the episode starts out with Steven walking in, gallivanting his relationship with Lydia, which is Lucy's best friend from back home. I'm just like, this man is a demon. Like, this man is not just an ex, he is a demonic entity. Like, I don't understand. I just do not understand what is wrong with this man. So Lucy's kind of looking around and scoping the scenery out, and she's just kind of feeling overwhelmed, as she should. She's in an environment with all the people from college. It's just a lot. Her ex is in the corner kikiing with her ex-best friend, clearly, because it's like obvious that they cannot be friends anymore. Like, there's no way they're still friends. So it's just kind of getting too much for her, and she goes to the bathroom. There's like a room that's right outside of the bathroom, and she's sitting in there kind of just catching her breath and getting herself together when Lydia kind of busts in to go to the bathroom. So they have a little exchange. They talk for a little bit on some small talk, but it's obvious that they're not friends anymore, and it's obvious that there's animosity, because Lydia was like about to go to the bathroom and she was like, I just want to let you know that I will never forgive you for any of it. Which I said, ooh, who are you talking to? Because last time I checked, this is your best friend's ex that you knew very much about. So why can't you forgive her? What did she do? And you know, our girl Lucy is messy. So I'm like, what happened? Like, what the hell happened? Because last time I checked, they was best friends. And honestly, at this point, this is when I knew I would have to go back and rewatch season 1, because I was like, did I miss something? But I didn't miss a damn thing. Lydia was being messy. So after this scene, we're dropped back into college life. So this is like 2008. We're back to the girls, and we're actually flashing back to Lydia and Lucy, and they're sitting by the pool chilling. You know, it's summertime, so they're just chilling, reminiscing on the summer and telling each other how much they're gonna miss each other. So the juxtaposition is literally crazy, but they're just telling each other how much they're gonna miss each other and how much fun they had over the summer. And Lydia's brother Chris actually comes out, and we meet him as a new character. So he's basically going to be going to Bard, I think is how you pronounce it, which is Lucy's college. And she's basically like, you know, like, look out for my baby brother. And she's like, of course. We start talking about Steven and how she was like, if Steven come at you crazy or start acting crazy, let me know, because I'm gonna handle him, because we gonna have to get into it. So she's basically writing for her friend, telling her, like, if you have any problems with Steven, let me know. Which has me even more like, ugh, what happened between y'all? Lucy is like, honestly, girl, I'm not even trying to get into all that. Like, it's a new year. I'm just trying to put that behind me. Like, I am not worried about his ass, like, period. So she's basically just like, she doesn't care. She's just gonna do her. Sitting by the pool talking about Steven, Lucy starts opening up kind of about her relationship with Steven, and she's just basically like, she knew the whole time that he was a piece of shit. Like, she knew that he was a bad guy, and she just kind of overlooked it. The whole situation with Diana taking him at the end of season 1, she just kind of feels like Diana did her a favor, and she's not even tripping on it. I dropped my brush. But she's basically like, she's not tripping on it. Diana did her a favor by taking that weight off of her hands. And she's reminiscing about how she kind of knew, and she had that gut feeling that this person wasn't actually for her and this person was toxic, but she decided to look past it. And I think that can be said for a lot of us. Sometimes we see these red flags and we act like it's Six Flags, and we just keep riding that ride until the person make you so damn sick, you got to get off. Like, you have to get off. You can't even ride the ride no more. And I think she reached that point that she has sacrificed so much. She had been so like ditzy for him, and she just got embarrassed one too many times, and now she's basically over it. Now, one thing I will say is we don't see like what was her recovery like over this situation. Like, how does she heal from this situation? We don't really get to see that. So all we're seeing is her basically saying that she's good and she's not tripping on it. So then that's when Chris comes out, they meet him and everything. I told you guys about that already. So while the girls are hanging out, Bree texts Lucy phone, sending her a picture of her and Evan, like, you know, her and Bae, you know, posted up or whatever the case may be. Now, if you guys remember from season 1, Bree and Lucy are college best friends. They met in college, they've been best friends, and Evan is Bree's boyfriend that Lucy slept with at the end of last season. And Bree does not know this. So when she gets that text, she starts having flashbacks of her hunching on Bree's boyfriend Evan, and she's just kind of taken aback. So her friend Lydia was like, oh my god, they're so cute. And she's like, yeah, they are. So from this, I gathered that Lydia don't have no damn idea that her best friend was getting busy with that girl boyfriend. She don't even know. So I just feel like this show was already too crazy for me. Like, you don't need ops when you have friends like this. Like, because what the hell? So in this next scene, we are unfortunately hanging out with Steven and Diana and Diana's dad. They're at dinner or lunch or something. They're eating at the restaurant, talking about the summer internship that he just had. Now, if you guys can remember from season 1, Diana basically told Steven that he can do way better, and that would he rather be with a girl with no ambition or somebody that like adds to him. Like, she just pictured him being with somebody so much better, and she wants to help him get the internship. And his narcissistic mother cut him off because he helped his sister get into boarding school. So he was cut off and she wasn't going to pay for his housing anymore. So basically in that moment, I feel like Steven weighed his options, and because he is a very opportunistic person and he takes advantage of literally everybody, he saw it to be more advantageous to go with the choice of being with Diana over being with Lucy, and he made his choice. And that was the iconic scene where they're walking out of the party together, the party that he came with, being in a relationship with Lucy, and Lucy's sitting there with the stuck face. Okay, so that's how we got here. So they're sitting, they're talking about the LSAT because these two want to be lawyers. So they're sitting there talking about the LSAT, and the dad is stressing how important it is for them to get really good LSAT scores. And so Diana excuses herself from the table because she wants to go to the bathroom, and the men are left at the table. So when the men are left at the table, the dad starts clocking Steven's tea like real bad. He's basically like, listen, let's cut the shit. I see you, and I see that you are a master manipulator. I've seen it all throughout the summer. And what you're not gonna do is be doing all of that when it comes down to my daughter. So he basically says some of that behavior in moderation is not bad, but he feels like Steven can take it overboard, and he does not want his daughter around that bullshit. So he basically clocks him and lets him know that that ain't flying around here, partner. So he looks kind of shook, but he's like, no, I got you, like, you know, whatever. We switch over scenes to Bree and Lucy, and they're so happy to see each other. Lucy buys Bree a coffee. And honestly, after Lucy sleeping with Bree's boyfriend, everything I see her doing for Bree this season just gives guilty conscience, but whatever. So they're happy to see each other, and Pippa walks in with a 613 bust down. And I'm just like, girl, is that my shit I just heard? I'm like, yes, Pippa with the 613. You got a new color. Pippa said, I went through too much last year. I gotta come new. Like, I gotta come different. Like, no. They're all happy to see each other, and that's that. So the scene switches over to the boys. It's Wrigley, Evan, and Steven, and Wrigley invites them to a barbecue that's gonna be happening the next day. They start like clowning Evan because he's like, okay, let me check with Bree or whatever. And they start clowning his little shit, and they're like, oh, you gotta check in with your girlfriend. Like, these men don't value women. So anybody who is even trying to value somebody, which he don't even value his girlfriend anyway because he cheated on her, but that's besides the point. And Evan asks Wrigley about his brother Drew from last season. We have not seen him since last season. So he's basically asking him like, hey, how's your brother? Wrigley basically explains that his brother hasn't been picking up his calls. When Wrigley leaves the room, Steven is telling Evan not to ask about his brother because it's like a sore subject and he doesn't want to talk about it, so just don't bring it up. Evan likes to control the narrative, so if anybody's just talking about something that he feels like they don't need to talk about, he just can't help himself but to say something. So okay, whatever. The scene is with Evan and Bree, and they're basically talking about the fact that Evan has been acting really weird all summer, and she's trying to speculate and see what's going on, and she's trying to ask if it's something that she did, and he's assuring her that, you know, it's nothing you did. Bree just basically misses how things used to be when it comes to her and Evan. Obviously Evan is acting weird because he has a guilty conscience, but she doesn't know that, so she is feeling some type of way that, you know, it's just some type of weirdness that she really just cannot put her finger on when it comes to them. So the girls are getting ready and they're talking shit about Steven, and Lucy is basically trying to play the kid where she does not care. She's unfazed. She's unbothered. They're talking about, you know, everything from last year, and she's basically saying how, you know, it's water under the bridge. Diana did her a favor. She's good. She's not even worried about it. She don't even care no more. She's going on a rampage, and it's like you can tell she's trying to convince herself of these things, because the girls is like, okay, if you say so, but it's clear that like she don't even damn believe what the hell she's saying. She's trying to convince herself. She's basically saying how the hypnosis wore off. She's not going for that shit no more. Yesterday's price is not today's price. She's doing all that and popping it basically, and you could just kind of tell that she's still bothered, but she's trying to act unbothered. And so she keeps repeating the phrase like, Diana did me a favor or whatever like that, and the girls are like, you said that already. And she's like, oh. So then she turns around and she's like, all right, like, y'all ready to go? Like, let's just go ahead and head out. And the girls are looking at her like, girl, are you gonna go like that? And she's like what? And she looks in the mirror and she only has one eye of makeup done. So clearly she's out of her element and she's pressed, but she does not want to admit it. And this is a theme with Lucy. Lucy is not in touch really with her emotions, and she doesn't like expressing her emotions. So for her, it's easier to just kind of like move on and convince herself that she's moved on rather than actually processing what happened and kind of like going about healing from it. So the girls is basically like, girl, get yourself together. She's stumbling. She's dropping makeup everywhere. Like, she is pressed and she's going through it. So the girls get to the function and they bump into Chris, which again is Lydia's brother. She introduces Chris to the girls, to the gang. What's up? This is Chris. Everybody, Chris, you know, this is my friend Lydia's brother, whatever. Evan meets up with the girls, and it's kind of like a dynamic where he says hey to everybody, real regular, and then when it gets to Lucy, he makes it real awkward. And it's just like the way that they behave around each other gives guilty to me, and it's like, I don't know if Bree picks up on that, but obviously she doesn't because she has literally no clue. But it's always like so obvious to me how they interact that it's like something, very much something. Evan and Bree like leave out, and it's just Pippa and Lucy together, and they see Wrigley with another girl. Now Wrigley and Pippa broke up last year because everybody thought that she wrote the note, and the note was basically the note exposing his brother about the accident. She got blamed for it, and Wrigley believes that it was Pippa that wrote the note, but obviously it was Lucy that wrote the note, but she's not going to admit that. The football players be like acting really weird towards her and like bullying her. Like, they're in the line at the function to get some drinks, and the guy pouring the drinks was like, she got to get out the line. Like, she can't even be in the line because all of them are like damn near gang affiliated with this football team. So it's like a lot. So when she sees Wrigley with another girl, they're just like, ugh. So Lucy leaves to go to the bathroom. When she comes out, she bumps into a new character, Leo, who is one of Evan's friends that did like a study abroad in Paris. So they're just kind of conversating and chopping it up, and I kind of really like their like back and forth together. They seem to have a lot of chemistry. They joke a lot, and they're just cute. Like, I like them together. They finish talking, and then she ends up seeing Diana, which turns her to off because she cannot stand Diana. Like, you know, her and Diana been fighting over that damn boy. So she is like, ugh, I gotta see this damn girl again. Pippa and Chris are kind of off to the side, like doing their own thing, talking. So Pippa is explaining to Chris about why the football team can't stand her or whatever. And she's just basically saying how, you know, the football team basically hates her. So while they're talking, Lucy pulls aside Evan because she wants to talk to him about the whole situation. He can barely look at her. He doesn't even want to be talking to her. He looks disgusted, literally. And he's just like, basically like he loves Bree, and she's like, do you plan on telling her that what we did or whatever? And he's like, no, like I don't want to tell her I love her. And she's like, I love her too. And I'm just like, you know, I hope this type of love never finds me. I hope this type of love that y'all are talking about that y'all got for Bree, I hope that type of love never finds me. Because the way y'all smacked, and here's the thing about that, I did go back and rewatch some parts of season 1 to kind of refresh my memory. And this is how everything transpired. Before Evan and Bree got together, he had already told Lucy that he liked her when she was messing with Steven and Steven was dragging her through the mud. He had a crush on Lucy before he ever even considered talking to her. Lucy just was never available because she was preoccupied with Steven. So what ended up happening was Evan never truly chose Bree. It was kind of forced because when they had that sleepaway party thing for Evan's birthday, that's when they were doing some type of drinking game and they kept changing the rules to make Bree and Evan keep kissing. And then it was just kind of like forced. She always had a crush on him before he had a crush on her. And I feel like he just never genuinely wanted her in the way of like a man wanting you. Because when a man wants you, he gonna come get you. But he never came and really got her until so long after, and until he already liked Lucy. So that those feelings were there from before. And Lucy knew that. And so my question to Lucy is, how are you going to let your friend go and date this man, or you're encouraging it knowing that he likes you? Like, why would you even want your friend to get that like bottom of the barrel treatment? And not to say that he treated her bottom of the barrel, but it's just kind of like, you know that she wasn't his first option. So I don't know. That always gives me like flaw vibe. Like, talk about y'all love me. Like, ugh, no. But anyway, Lucy continues in the party and she ends up bumping into none other than Steven. And so they fake check up on each other like, oh, how was your summer? How you been? She was like, I've been good. And okay, I think after watching the first season, we can just say without a shadow of a doubt, we don't have to be therapists or licensed professionals to diagnose Steven with narcissistic personality disorder. So we already can establish that. So one thing about those type of people, they're gonna love to brag on themselves and, you know, like dry brag on themselves. So he was like, yeah, I was working in the city this summer with Diana's dad. Okay, trying to fake pop it. She's like, okay, you know, good for you. I'm happy for you. And he was like, you know, you're really good at acting like you don't care. And she was like, I'm not acting. And he was just like, kind of trying to do that manipulative thing that he does where he tries to suck her back into his web. And my girl seemed like she was really not going for it. She was just kind of like, yeah, Steven, that doesn't work anymore. Like, that little shit you used to be doing, that shit don't work on me no more. Like, no. And you know what? I was happy for her. And he was like, well, I'm glad you found something else to worry about. Just degrading her and, you know, like he does. But I like how she popped it. She sold it. Was it convincing? Only a little bit. But you know what? I'm proud of her in those moments where she stands up for herself and she stands on business. But literally right after the conversation, she kind of goes off to the side and you can see that it bothered her and like she felt a type of way seeing him for the first time since the summer. So I think this is the next day. We're not at the function anymore. We're back at school. Bree and Evan are talking and she's letting him know that Lucy invited her to this event. Like her English professor is hosting an event at her house and she invited Bree to come with her. And so she agreed to go. So she's letting Evan know that that's what she's gonna do. And Evan is kind of irritated because anytime now that Lucy gets brought up, he gets irritated because he know what the hell he did. So he's all irritated and fake upset because I guess she was canceling some plans that they had. And Steven ends up pulling up next to them and Bree is like, you, Steven, and she leaves. So she leaves the boys to themselves and they get to talking, and Evan just starts explaining that, you know, their relationship has kind of been strained, and that, you know, he's been trying so hard to let her know that he loves her, just keeps accusing him of acting weird. And he was just kind of like, well, doesn't she already know you love her? Evan was like, I mean, yeah, but, you know, I'm just trying or whatever. And so real recognize real and recognize. So Steven going to say, have you been cheating on her? Like, no, he denies it. But like I said, a manipulator knows a manipulator. A cheater knows a cheater. So he could tell that it was something fishy going on. So he was like, oh my God, you cheated. With who? And he's like, bro, okay. So he ends up telling him, but he doesn't tell him with who, because that would be very mixy. Because obviously Lucy was, what's her name, little shit back then. So that would just be mixy on so many different levels and angles. So he didn't say all that. He just basically said it was with a random girl. So he plays that when he lies and said it was with a random girl, you know, it means nothing, whatever. He even tries to console him by telling him that he's not a bad person. He just did one bad thing and it's not that big a deal, basically. Which, I mean, leave it to Steven to justify cheatery and just, you know, sweep it under the rug. But he was basically like, I mean, we're in college, like this is the time to do stupid stuff, like whatever. So that's the end of that scene, and then we're brought into the event with Bree and Lucy. So they walk into the event at the professor's house. Now this is a professor that Lucy had last year, so she kind of has a rapport with her, but Bree is new to this class, so she's kind of just now meeting this professor. So Bree ends up telling Lucy that Evan was kind of upset about her canceling their plans, and Lucy is just so suspicious. She was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, like she was doing the most. And she was like, girl, it's not that deep, like why are you even apologizing? And she was like, well, because you canceled your plans with him for me and I feel bad. And she's like, girl, it's really not that serious, like it's okay. She was like, well, send him a cute text, like send him something, like whatever. So she sent him a text talking about she miss him, and he texts her back like he missed her back. He sends like a picture. He sends like a shirtless little flick. So she's like, I need to send something back. So she goes outside and Lucy's still inside. When Lucy's inside, she's talking to the professor, and she's like, she just seems really angsty, and she's just like, thank you so much for this opportunity. Like, I'm so lucky to be back in your class. And and the teacher's like, Savannah, slow down. Savannah, slow down. Why don't you get yourself a glass of wine? I'm happy for you to be here too. Go get yourself a glass of wine and, you know, just chill. It's chill. It's okay. So she goes and does that or whatever. And Bree is outside trying to take a flick for her man. She bumps into this male professor. Now, I did not tell you guys this earlier, but at some point in the episode before this, Bree bumps into or sees this male professor when she's in the registrar's office. Now, she wanted to get into the class that the lady Marianne, that they're at her house, that is the professor that Lucy has the class with, and that she wants to get in that class as well. So when she went to the registrar's office, they were basically telling her that that class was full and that she would have to just try again next year. And when her just asking wasn't working, she just broke down crying and was like, I've been going through so much family stuff and and I really need this class and I need to graduate and the guy just was so overwhelmed that he was like, okay, and puts her in the class. While all of this is happening, it's this male professor lurking in the background watching everything unfold, and he's kind of like, ugh, whatever. So he looks kind of annoyed or whatever. So fast forward to now at the party, it's him outside smoking a cigarette. So she doesn't even smoke, but when she walks out and tries to take her picture, he was like, are you coming out here to smoke? And she was like, I didn't know he was out there. So she felt embarrassed and she was like, yeah. So he was like, I mean, go ahead, I don't care. And she was like, oh, I forgot my cigarettes, like, oops. And he was like, well, you can have one of mine. So he gives her one. We're brought back into the house where Lucy sees Diana. The girls kind of exchange some words and they start going kind of like back and forth or whatever. And Diana is playing the kid where she's just like, babe, listen. Because Diana is an older woman. They're seniors now, and the girls, like our girls, are like sophomore. So Diana always comes at it like on some grown woman, like a little girl and Lucy. So she's just basically like, honey, me and Steven had a whole history that you are not a part of. So I'm sorry that you got your little feelings hurt, but the boy is mine type shit. So I'm just like, I'm rolling my eyes to the back of my head because I really don't like to see these girls bickering over the likes of Steven. Like, it would never make sense to me why these girls are bickering, arguing, fighting. But that goes to show you how strong of a force manipulation really is, because he manipulates both of them and he triangulates them into his mess. So when he's with Diana, then Lucy's the enemy and Lucy's crazy and Lucy's this, and he puts all this stuff onto her, and then vice versa. So it's just real ugly. But basically Lucy just tells her, listen girl, I know a lot about Steven, almost alluding to the fact that she knows more about him than she does, which at this current point she actually does, because she knows everything that happened last year when it comes to Macy's passing and deletion. So we could get into that tea. If you want to clock that tea, we can clock that tea. That's basically what Lucy say, and kind of get old girl mind wandering just a little bit. So I like that part because it was kind of cute. Like, she ate that one thing, because I feel like Diana did say, bitch, what you talking about? What you talk about? So I like that. Back outside with Oliver, the professor, the male professor, and he's British. He has a British accent. So I love when he's in the scenes, because I love me a good British accent. So they're outside talking, and he kind of clocks Bree for, you know, weaponizing her tears to get into the class. And she was like, well, sometimes men only respond to you when you're acting like a little girl. And he was like, that's sick, but but he understands. And they're just kind of talking, and there's a sort of tension. Like, every time I see them together, it's something, very much something. So I'm just like, okay. She finds out that his wife is who she was working so hard to get into their class. So that's how she finds out that Marianne, the woman hosting the event, is actually Oliver's wife. Whatever. And she finally, the conversation pretty much just ends, and she's able to take her picture and send it to her damn man. So we are moved to a scene with none other than Diana and Steven. I hate their scenes. I really do, because I really do not like Steven. But they in the bed crunched up or whatever, and she tells Steven about how she ran into Lucy. And so he's asking her, well, what was that? What happened? So she basically tells him, yeah, we had a conversation, and she says she knows a lot about you. Like, I guess that was her way of being cryptic, but I guess she was trying to warn me or whatever. So one thing that Steven loves to do, and I peeped this when I rewatched some episodes from last season, is Steven will use hunching as a distraction manipulation tool. So anytime an important question is asked, now he's kissing on the back of your neck, and now you're crunched up in the bed. So that's exactly what he did, and he kind of just uses that to change the subject, to change the mood, to deflect, to move your mind off of what you were really talking about. If you were pressing him about why he was texting another girl, now he's whispering sweet nothings in your ear, and you don't even know what the hell's going on. That's one of his favorite tricks that he will use. And honestly, a lot of men will use it because it's a powerful force, and you know, it distracts the girlies. So they're going to use it to throw you off balance, or just use it as a tool of control. And that's exactly what he did. He said, girl, you're talking too much. Don't worry about all that. Because he does not want his tea to be clogged. So he basically starts hunching on her, and their scene is over with. We are in Marianne's English class where they're reading a poem, and the poem has a emotional nature to it, and it's evoking feelings into Lucy. So at a certain point of the girl reading the poem, it's like she's laughing, but then her face looks like she's crying. So like Brie is like, Lucy, like, girl, you cannot be laughing in this class while this girl's reading. So then she does it again, and then you could tell after the second laugh, I think you could clearly tell that she's upset, and she has to excuse herself from the room. So this scene shows just how much Lucy is not over the situation that she went through, and that she really hasn't even processed it that much, because she's extremely easily triggered by anything that has to do with, you know, her situation. And the poem wasn't so on the nose. I can't really recite it because I really don't remember, but it was like, metaphorically speaking, like it got her on a metaphorical level, and she was like kind of breaking down. So she leaves and excuses herself out the room because she's clearly upset. And so Brie goes out there to check on her, and she was like, how did Marianne react? She probably thought I was a freak for crying and all this other stuff. Like, I'm gonna go talk to her. When Lucy goes in there, she basically leads with just apologizing. She's so sorry for disrupting the class and making a fool of herself, and she just really hopes that this is not gonna negatively affect everything. And the teacher is just like, again, Savannah, slow down. And I love Marianne because she's just like, she really cares about her students, and you could see that throughout the show and throughout how she interacts with them. So she's basically like, listen, I had you last year. We had some awkward moments last year with, she was accused of plagiarizing, and then her mom had to come in and basically corroborate what the story was about, which was about her mother's sexual life. And so it was a lot of TMI, but they got through it. And basically she was just bringing that up to say, look, we been there, we right here, you can tell me if something's going on. Are you okay? Like, what's happening? So she gives her a hug and she basically asks her, like, are you good? She's just dealing with a lot right now, and she's trying to rise above this certain situation that this person is trying to drag her down, and it's just really hard and it's weighing on her. And Marianne was like, you can't always be the bigger person, and you can't always sweep something under the rug or get over something or rise above something that you haven't actually dealt with. If somebody's actively trying to get under your skin, it's gonna be hard to try to, you know, rise above it. So you have to deal with it and face it head on. And as far as school goes, you know, I would love to give you some extra credit by you helping me transcribe the book that I'm writing. So she agrees to it, and, you know, she feels better about the situation. So the girls are in the caf and they're sitting with Leo, the guy from the party that did like the study abroad in Paris. They're chopping it up, you know, just having small talk, whatever, in the caf, chopping it. Steven peeps them from afar and does not like what he's seeing. So, you know, his ugly ass got to go over there and stir up some controversy. He sits down with the girls and he's like, hey, he clearly sees the guy right there and he don't give a damn. He's like, hey, so Lucy, I just wanted to say I'm so sorry for, you know, dragging you through the mud last year and treating you like shit and embarrassing you time after time. And I know you taking me back and forgiving me every time. My bad, y'all. My camera overheated. But yeah, he's basically outing her about taking him back every time he made her look stupid as hell. He's just pretty much rehashing everything he did to her, how he manipulated her, and how he just basically treated her like shit, and she just kept taking him back. And, you know, I'm sure that eroded your any sense of self-esteem that you had to keep taking me back time and after time after time. He's doing this in front of Bree and Pippa and the guy Leo, and so everybody is basically just jaw drop, because this was a humiliation ritual, like, period. He did that to humiliate her. He did that to make her look bad and to make her look like used goods in front of the other guy. Because even though Steven is with Diana and he should be happy and, you know where home at and all that type of stuff, he should be happy over there where he's at in his happy law firm home with his girl. He still wants to know that he has that emotional pull on Lucy. So anytime he sees her living life, having fun, or talking to a guy or anything, he's going to interject because he cannot let that girl win for nothing. He feels slighted by the fact that she spoke to Diana. So that was his little get back. Can't stand him, hate his guts, but that was that. And it was very awkward. Lucy is in the gym working up a sweat because my girl has to blow off some steam after what the hell just happened at the calf. And she's running and she's running and she's running and she's mad. And I feel like she's thinking about what her professor said about, you don't have to always be the bigger person. So she decides to be the little person. And I never mentioned this, but throughout this episode, Steven has this iPhone. And mind you, this is 2008. So it's like the old iPhones, like, you know, one of the more original iPhones. So he's super excited because everybody else pretty much has a flip phone. And Diana's dad bought him that iPhone. So all throughout the episode, it's like he's showing off the iPhone, he's picking up the iPhone, like the iPhone is a big deal. So Lucy gets off that treadmill and runs her happy behind down to his dorm. She opens his door or knocks on his door, and when he opens it, she snatches the phone out of his hand and smashes it down the hallway. And she says, let me tell you this, you're not about to keep messing with me all semester. If you keep messing with me, I'm gonna expose you because I know your tea. I know what you did last year. I will tell everybody that you was in the car with Macy last year when she died. So if you want to be petty, we could be petty. if you want to take it there, I'll take it to hell. That's basically what she tells him. She doesn't care if he exposes the letter, because that's the only leverage that he really has on her, is that she's the one that wrote the letter about Drew, but she's basically not even caring at this point. You're not about to keep with me because you're not with me. So you can run and tell that. And Lucy gives him the business, and I'm very proud of Lucy in this moment, because as she freaking should. But at this point, it's like they're waging war upon each other. They're gonna be beefing all season, it feels like. So that was that. We flash forward back to the, I don't know if I've been calling it a wedding, but I don't think it's the actual wedding. I think it's like the engagement party or something like that. So we flash back to the engagement party where everybody's still hanging out. I think the boys are in there cutting Steven's hair, because Steven's hair in the flash forward scene was like really long, and they're cutting it back to how it was when he was in college. So when she gets a glimpse of that, she's just like, ugh, this is too much. Like, this is giving college tease, and I'm just not here for it. Let me go home. So she tells Bree that she's about to head home, and Pippa's like, yeah, I'm actually gonna go home too. So we get like a montage of her driving home and like her taking a shower and stuff, and she gets home. But the real tea is when Pippa gets home. Now, I'm gonna harken back to something that happened in the episode that I did not mention, which was in the flash forward. They were asking Pippa, like, what does she have going on? Like, who is she talking to, and like, who is she messing with, and all that type of stuff. And she just basically said that she's dealing with a girl. Shout out to the LGBTQ. She's dealing with a girl, and they're just hooking up, and it's not even like really that serious, so she doesn't want to talk about it. Y'all, I tell you, I was shook off of this scene. Like, this scene, like, I'm stuttering, I can't even talk right. Like, this scene had me gagged. She goes home and you hear a girl's voice, and she's like, hey babe, like, how was it, whatever. And they pan that camera over, and it's Diana. It's Diana. And I'm like, how the hell did we get here? So she asks Pippa, were they there? And Pippa is like, they were both there. And that is how the episode ends. So this season is kicking it off crazy. I was gonna do episode 2 in this video, but I think I'm gonna do a separate video for episode 2. So stay tuned for that, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll definitely see you guys in the next one. Bye.